So I know that you guys are really excited to go to the US and make a lot of money and all that. And I'm sure that you're thinking, you want to go to California or you want to go to New York, because typically that's where we know that, there's a lot of money and like high paying jobs and all that, right? But the US, it's a little bit more complicated than that. There's more to it than meets the eye. So in this video, I want to talk to you guys about the highest paying cities, as well as the most expensive cities and sort of the insights that I've gained from this research. So first of all, let me introduce you to the highest paying cities in the US, okay? So here it is. Now I'm not gonna read out this information because that would be super boring. If you wanna pause the video and then, read it yourself, go ahead. But typically these are names that you've heard of, and it should come as no surprise. You'll find that most of it is in maybe like California or maybe Seattle, and then the rest of it will be sort of in the Northeast area, right? So this is typically what students look at when they apply to colleges, right? They'll pick colleges that are in New York or in California because they want the highest paying jobs once they graduate, right? But it's a little bit more complicated than that, because let me show you another list, okay? So here is a list of the most expensive cities in the US, right? Again, I'm not gonna read out the list. You can pause the list and then read through it very quickly. But essentially you can tell that a lot of these cities are quite similar. You'll see a lot of the same names pop up here and there, right? Now the thing is, if you go to a highest paying city, right? If you go to a city, let's say like New York, where you make a lot of money, right? You get a lot of high paying jobs there. But what happens is New York is also notoriously expensive. So it doesn't matter if you have a job that pays like $100,000, which is probably going to be, say, the median salary at these big cities. But your living expenses are also going to be huge, right? They're going to be around 50 or 60,000. And then once you subtract tax, you're not going to have much money left in your hand, right? So it's not always the best decision to go to these cities unless, of course, your job pays well above the median at those cities, right? However, if you want to be a little bit more smart about how you're applying to college and sort of where you want to work in the US, and you're okay with not being in California and New York and all these, big shot places, then let me give you another statistic. So what I actually did is I found two lists that talk about not really about the salaries, but a high salary to cost ratio. This means that essentially, let's say you'll be earning, say, $90,000, which is probably not as much as you'll be earning, say, in New York, in these cities. So if you're earning $90,000 in these cities, the living costs will be, say, $30,000 or $35,000. So in the end, you get to keep more of what you make, right? So a high salary to cost ratio. So these are the cities in the US with the highest salary to cost ratio, right? Essentially, if you go work at these cities, you won't be making, say, as much money as you would maybe in Silicon Valley or in New York, but you'll be keeping more of what you earn. So in the end, you might end up with more money down the line, 5 or 10 years down the line. Now, I want to take this one step further, right? Because with just a couple of city names, it's not really going to help you guys make a decision in terms of which states you want to apply to, which areas of the country you're looking at, and all that, okay? So here's what we're going to do, okay? So here is a map of the United States, all right? Now, here are the highest paying cities in the US, right? You'll see a lot of it along sort of the West Coast, which is starting from the southern West Coast, from California, all the way up to Washington, Seattle and that kind of region, right? Then you'll have, on the East Coast, the Northeast Coast specifically, you'll find the cities like, New York, Boston, and all these places. There's a lot of cities that pop up in those areas, right? Now let's look at, in the same map, what are the most expensive cities in the US, right? Again, you'll see a lot of overlap, right? There's a lot of overlap between the cities, between the sort of regions, I don't want to say cities, between the regions where they pay the most and they also ask the most from you, right? Now what we'll do is we'll add the cities with the highest salary to cost ratio, okay? So here we go. Now, as you guys can see, these cities have little overlap with the other cities, the highest paying cities as well as the most expensive cities, right? You'll find that these cities are a little bit more scattered around the US, and they're typically not in the Northeast, they're typically not in the West Coast, they're generally elsewhere, places like Southern California, Northern California, Georgia, Kentucky, Arizona, Texas. So all these big cities in these smaller states will offer you a higher salary to cost ratio. So this is something that you guys can keep in mind when you're applying to college. If you're thinking especially of a safety university and you're just not sure how to pick a safety university, it might be a good idea if you go to one of the top colleges in these cities, so that when you graduate and you try to get a job within this city, you get an awesome job that pays you maybe not as much as what you might make in LA or in New York, but still you get to keep more of what you earn due to the low cost of living. Okay, so I hope this video was valuable for you guys. If you think this is awesome information, make sure you share it with everyone, because this is something that's really important for you guys to know when you're applying to colleges or when you're just thinking about studying in the US. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed for more college application related stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.